Okay, so I am thrilled to share with you some more of the Heartsbeat story. It's a very, very special story, quite unique, and I have a slideshow that I'm going to share with you. Yes, so let me begin. So Heartsbeat really is a celebration of sharing traditions, and that is in music, drumming, dancing, and storytelling. And it's really a celebration of the similarities between Indigenous and Irish cultures and the passion for those music and drumming and storytelling. Just so that, and Eilish mentioned this, but I just wanted to kind of give a little bit more context and position ourselves in the context of Heartsbeat. So Heartsbeat began and is really centered on Vancouver's downtown east side. So Vancouver's downtown east side is often referred to as Canada's poorest postal code. It is a community that is not only in the grips of the COVID-19 pandemic, but also in the opioid epidemic. It is a community overrepresented by Indigenous folks that are experiencing homelessness and mental illness. But it is also a community bursting at the seams with artists, musicians, dancers, and honestly, in my opinion, would rival any city in terms of arts and culture. So what does this mean when we are creating events like Heartsbeat? When we're creating cultural events, we are holding the community in the downtown east side at the center of this. So any activities that we do or events that we do, we want to make it accessible for folks in the downtown east side community. So as Eilish mentioned, I work for the University of British Columbia, and they have a very unique unit that's located in the downtown east side and has been there for 20 years called the Learning Exchange. And this is a learning hub for folks in the university community and in the downtown east side community to come together and learn from one another. The Carnegie Community Centre, just 2 city blocks away from the Learning Exchange, is known as the living room of the downtown east side and offers essential services to the community folks. And Carnegie has been opened throughout the pandemic, offering food and essential services. Part of the Carnegie Community Centre is the incredible cultural sharing program. And this is coordinated by Nicole Bird, who's our Indigenous Programs Coordinator. And the cultural sharing program has been running for years and years every Monday evening and works with both Indigenous and non-Indigenous folks in the downtown east side to create a space where folks can connect, they can socialize, they can learn about Indigenous culture in a safe space. Of course, we also have the Irish community living here in BC and beyond. So I'm from Gorey, County Wexford, and have been living here in Vancouver for 9 years, and very much connected to my Irish culture. And of course, there's folks like Eilish, who is connected also to culture in Ireland and connecting folks in BC to that, along with Blake Williams. So we have all of these players in the Heartsbeat family that bring their cultural backgrounds to create this very special event that really just celebrates a love for traditional music, dancing, and storytelling. And it all began 6 years ago this month, Eilish. I was thinking about it, I was like, geez, it was January 2015. So Irish workshops started at the Learning Exchange because I started working at the Learning Exchange and people were interested, oh, where are you from? Where's that accent from? Had heard of river dance, had, heard of the Troubles in Northern Ireland, had heard about Ireland and wanted to learn more. So Eilish, who's a colleague of mine at UBC as well, and is also connected through the Irish Women's Network, we decided to create workshops that focused on Irish culture and that explored things like contemporary Ireland, conversational Irish, and sports and music. And of course, music was a big hit. So in 2018, Eilish connected with Blake Williams, who is of the Irish Wakers. And we were really wanting to create a space where folks could come together and learn about the Bodhran, so the traditional Irish hand drum, and learn about it, learn how to play it, learn what it sounded like, and learn some of the stories about the Bodhran. So here we are, year one, the photo up there to the left. And folks, what was really special was that we invited folks to bring along their own traditional hand drum from their own culture, to learn how to play Bodhran on it, but to also exchange with us their stories of the drum and their music, their culture. So we created this wonderful space where we were just exchanging all this culture. And one of my favorite photos there of Blake and one of our patrons, and Blake is teaching Yuli how to play the Bodhran. And so it was just very, very special. So that was year one. And during those workshops, I got chatting to one of our patrons, Isaac, who's from Haida Gwaii, and a member of the cultural sharing program. And he really drew the attention to the similarities between the traditional hand drums of the West Coast and of Ireland. And so he shared with me that him and the cultural sharing program were making their own drums, and introduced me to Nicole at the Carnegie Centre. And from then on, Nicole, myself, Eilish, Blake, and Dion began to plan an event called Heartsbeat that would allow folks to share what they had learned in the Bodhran workshops, but also to hear musicians from Ireland play traditional music, and to also for the Irish folks to hear the cultural sharing program play their traditional drums. So Heartsbeat happened, a big event, over 60 people came along. The cultural sharing program drum group drummed publicly for the first time, and the event was a great success. And of course, it happened around St. Patrick's Day back in 2018. And there we can see the drummers fill the learning exchange with their sound. Roll on to year two of Heartsbeat, 2019. Our partnership is just going from strength to strength. This time our event happens at the Carnegie Community Centre Theatre. And we have very special guests like Consulate Frank Flood of the Irish Consulate here in Vancouver, Kieran Cannon, the former Minister upstate for the Diaspora and International Development at the time, storyteller in residence Joseph Dandaran, the drum group from the Carnegie Community Centre, Luxdílam, and the Day Danan dancers. I personally wasn't there, I was in Ireland at the time, but some of my favorite comments that I heard when I got back was the thunderous sound of the Irish dancers on that stage, and just how people just loved being there and hearing all the music. One of the ripple effects of Heartsbeat, and something that we're really proud of, is that the cultural sharing program received the name Luxdílam from the host nations in a traditional naming ceremony that members, myself, Dion, Eilish, Blake, all attended as witnesses to see this. It was a very, very important event, and you can see there Luxdílam in their regalia, and you know, as a drum group, played at many different occasions. So it was really cool just to see how that drum group came together, and that was inspired by the Heartsbeat event. Roll on to Heartsbeat 2020, which was due to happen March 19th, 2020. Of course, 3 days before that, the entire world shut down. So we were lucky enough that we were able to host 2 Bodhran workshops with Blake, with patrons of the Learning Exchange and members of the Loch Steel drum group. But by the middle of March, just 3 days before the event, large gatherings were put to a halt, which meant that Heartsbeat was postponed. Knowing how much the community was missing Heartsbeat and also community members in need of an opportunity to connect and to socialize and to feel a sense of celebration in a time when we couldn't gather in person, we wanted Heartsbeat to happen, but we knew that it was going to happen in a different way. So with challenges comes new opportunities. So we went virtual, and it opened incredible doors that we never imagined would happen. With going virtual, we went online. We were able to bring Irish musicians live from Ireland together with Loch Steel Drum Group and with Indigenous drummers from here in Vancouver, and to play together in the same space. We had nearly over 1,000 participants, with hundreds joining from all over BC, Canada, Ireland, and Australia. My favorite thing about that is the world got to see the positivity that happens in the downtown Eastside, the stories and the lives that are there in a way that often the downtown Eastside is portrayed negatively, and here was just in such a positive light. And also likewise for the downtown Eastside to be seen and heard by folks right around BC, Canada, and the world. We got significant funding from the Consulate, the Heart of the City Festival, and with UBC that allowed us to have lots of honorarium for folks and some free meals. We served over 500 free meals to folks in person at the Carnegie Community Centre, who were also able to pick up a gift pack with a face mask and craft kits and chocolate, along with prizes. We also, this was the marking of the naming of our Irish musicians, Ceola Boo, Singing Forever. And so, yeah, it was just, here's some photos from the event. It was a remarkable 3.5-hour event. We've got Billy up here that joined us, a storyteller from Ireland who joined us live, the Mulligan family who also joined us live from Ireland for the event. We have the Loch Steel Drum Group and Ceola Boo who did a pre-recording for us. We have Larissa Healy who did the dance. What I love here is to see her regalia, their regalia at the backdrop of the Irish province banners. You can see here Les, Mar and Lucy handing out meals and gift packs to folks that came in, that dropped by to get a meal. And here's myself and Nicole doing the hosting. So what does Heartsbeat 2021 look like? Well, we want to grow our event. We want this event to continue. It's already happening by being able to be featured here today at Celtic Fest. Our partnership continues to have impacts. We just got a really great funding from UBC that will support cultural activities in the downtown Eastside for the next year and a half. We're connected with the Ireland Canada University Foundation, who are doing similar work. If you haven't had a chance to, check out their Landspeak event, which is happening tomorrow. It's all about the Indigenous and Irish connections. We also have faculty support to create a documentary telling the story of Heartsbeat and sharing the voices of the folks involved. And of course, we plan to be here, going live, online and in person in November 2021. So we would love to have you there, and I'll chat a little bit about that at the end. Okay, folks, thank you for listening. I'm going to stop sharing, and we are going to head over to the Carnegie. Hopefully we've got some sound, and check in there.
Hello, my name is Les Nelson. I am from the Kwakwakwakwa Guskmu Nukhalk. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on unceded territory of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish, that they let us work, play, and do as we're doing now. On behalf of Lextelum, I'd like to thank the Celtic for inviting us to participate with them. Gaelic Isla, all my relations. Thank you.
As you can see, folks, the Carnegie have just done an incredible job of putting on this beautiful, beautiful backdrop. And we're joined here that we can see Blake Williams on the right and Sam McKay on the left. And we're also, there's folks there at the Carnegie watching this in person.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes!
Okay. I am lossless, singing law. My name is Nicole Burt. I am so honored to be here on the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. I am here tonight with the Lextelum drum group. Luke, are you able to turn the camera on and show everyone who is here? Yes. Luke is one of our camera assistants tonight, and if you look at the Carnegie Community Center camera, he's going to turn and you'll be able to see Lextelum is in the house. There, Lextelum, everyone wave. All right, Lextelum is here. We so appreciate your patience tonight. It's one of those nights where the spirits align to give us a little bit of fun. There's a trickster playing around tonight. All the mics are just off on their own little journey, except journeying with us. So I wanted to just say Hawa for sticking with us. Much appreciation to Susie again for sharing the wonderful history of Heartsbeats and our connection with the Irish Consulate and the Irish community in Vancouver and the Irish Women's Network and Eilish and Blake and Susie and Dion, the list goes on and on. But we are ready to share with you this evening the wonderful event of Blake Williams and Sam McKay, who will be sharing with you all about how to play the Bodhran, the little history of the Bodhran, and also the First Nations drum.
Hi everybody, my name is Blake. Thank you, Nicole, and it's so great to be back in the Carnegie. As Susie described, this has been a journey of 4 years. Is that right, Sam?
Yes.
Yes. So, and it started small and it's just growing. So it's been a fabulous experience for me, and I really look forward to being able to play with Sam. So, Sam, could you tell a little bit about your drum?
Well, my drum was, we made it in the group. We all each made our own drums, and we did our own designs in it. And so everybody just has their own drums.
Are they hard to make?
Well, we had an instructor to show us what to do. So we just followed. That's how it come.
It's a beautiful drum. So Sam, would you tell the story of your drum and maybe show some of the ways you play it? It's quite special.
Yeah. The story of the drum is a long time ago. Our people were starving up in Nisga'a territory, and they would always watch the moon. I guess they were on the verge of starving. They were waiting for the arrival of the Olikin, and if the moon was facing up, it would be a good harvesting season. And if it was facing down, then you have to prepare to get alternative ways of getting food. And when they seen that it was up like tilted up ways, they celebrated. Thus comes the drum. You know, every year we have a celebration called OBA, and that's what we celebrate. And it's a 4-day celebration. It's at the time when people, if they have anything left at all, they would put up a feast and make sure they use all the food up. And then they would replenish it, knowing that the Olikins have arrived. It is also the time they call a Nisga'a New Year. It's the beginning of a new year when things start coming alive. Yeah. And, so they celebrate it. And it was not too long ago when the drums came in, and they have a box drum which was built by a chief. It's an offbeat beat sound. It's just a one hit every 4 count. It's an offbeat. You count 4 seconds, like, then you hit. And then they added the second beat, the 2 beat, which is that's a 2 beat. The 1 beat was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you got the 2 beat. Then you got the 3 beat. Starts getting a little faster. And then you have the 1 beat really that goes really fast. So if you have the 4 beats, it goes in unison. Sounds really nice. And years ago, I was told that our people go by the popcorn sounds. You know, when you make popcorn, when it pops, and it, you know, and this is where your beat came. Popcorn sound. And you know, and when I wrote my own song just recently, I couldn't fit the beats in. And it took me a while to figure this out. And suddenly it dawned on me, you know, and I used to listen to my dad's little putt-putt boat coming from a mile away, and you could hear so that sound came to me, you know, that sound. So this is my song. Listen to you can alter the song in the beat, how fast you can make sound. Sounds pretty good when it goes a little faster. So you can figure it out yourself when you're singing the song, whether you want it to be a live beat or just a regular beat.
You play it so well. I
Thank
always
you.
enjoy it when we can play together.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say about that?
It's really, a big gathering. It's starting to be a big gathering now that we have with the OBA. It's the real meaning of a new year. January isn't a new year for me. Everything's still frozen over. We have our new year almost the same time with the Chinese. Come alive. Even the animals are waking up. So it's time to harvest, do harvesting again. Picking berries, going hunting, fishing, things like that.
Thank you so much, Sam. I learn something every time you speak about the drum. Drums are very special, and it's been a real privilege for me to be able, because in some of the workshops that Susie was describing, there were drums were made. Drums were actually made and brought to the class, and they were made by the. What I'd like to do in this introduction to the Bodhran is describe a little bit about the theories of the history of the Bodhran in Irish culture, and then talk about different types of Bodhrans, and then basic tunes that the Bodhran is played along with, and there'll probably be a few other things. So I'll start off, if you can hear me all right. The Bodhran was often, particularly in farming communities where work was very hard. The Bodhran could be, it was just like a farming instrument. And you could take it out, and when you got the wheat, you could put the wheat in the Bodhran, and when you wanted to separate the wheat from the chaff, you would throw it up, and the wind would blow the chaff away, and you would have the grain to make things. So it was called a winnowing tray, really. The other purpose on the farm is, you had peat. And peat would be cut, and it would actually create the heat in the cottage or the farmhouse. So you would fill the Bodhran with peat and carry it in and warming. So you can just imagine that after a hard day of work on the farm, and you're having dinner by a fire, a peat fire, and then someone pulls out a fiddle, and then someone else has a flute, and they start playing music along, and there's someone who doesn't really have an instrument, but they really want to join in with the music. So they pick up this winnowing tray or peat hauler, and they start playing it originally just with their hand. It then became, would start using a tipper, and there are different types of tipper, and I'll get into that a bit. And so you do that, and it became used in the Wren Boys Parade, St. Stephen's Day celebrations, and religious ceremonies at times. Bodhran has two different meanings. One is a deaf person, but we prefer the other one, which is a hand drum. They say it's an instrument that everybody wants to play, but not everybody really wants to hear. And that, and like most other instruments, there are jokes about the Bodhran. And there was a contest, what is the plural for a Bodhran? And some said, well, it's a nuisance of Bodhran players. It's a scourge. It's a pride of Bodhrans. If there's a group of crows is a murder, a group of whales is a pod, and a group of Bodhran players is cacophony. So there are different size Bodhrans. Most of them, this is a goat skin Bodhran. It's tunable. You can see around here there are these adjusted devices that you can turn clockwise or counterclockwise to actually tighten or loosen the skin. As I say, it's a goat skin. And traditionally, when Bodhrans first started, because of on a hot sunny day, there might be you might leave it in the car, and the skin would get so tight it would break the Bodhran. So they started putting square 2 rods across, 2 wooden dowels across to strengthen it. But now with laminate, it's not required. But all Bodhrans are not made out of goat, although it's a favorite. Sometimes in Australia they make them out of kangaroo. They can be cow. And it's a frame drum. Almost every culture has some kind of frame drum. And again, this is one example of a tipper or seepin. Here's another. A lot of Irish kids use this. It looks like 10 skewers, barbecue skewers with the tops cut off, and some electrical tape, and it's a brush. And each one can provide you a different sound. This is called, it has a split in it. And then if you want a deeper sound, in each, the way I use these is depending on the speed with which I have to play and the tune, how the tune is organized. And then you can do rim shots. Those are the tippers. And then I think you've been, if you have a drum, please, it's time to get ready to do some exercises with it. And if you don't have a tipper, you can use a pencil, a knitting needle, anything. And if you don't have a drum, if you've got a pizza there you're eating, you can take the box and turn that into a temporary Bodhran, just for the sake of what we're doing. So of course, Irish love to play jigs, reels, hornpipes, waltzes, polkas. The best way to do it is, you can see I'm holding the drum inside. If you have a crossbar, you can hold on to that. And then the tipper is, you hold it like a pencil, but it's aimed at you. So you go. That's it. I see some people have it down exactly right. So we'll try some different beats now. So we'll start with, let's go down, up, down, 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 down. Now we'll change it. Down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up. Okay, now we're going to make it a little harder. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. And now we'll go down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, down, up. And it's easier to do the downstroke than it is to do the upstroke. But if you want to get good, you really want to practice both. And sometimes, because you're fighting gravity on the way up. So let's see. There are, so the posture is good, and when you're using your wrist really as it, if you use your whole arm going up and down, you might end up with a hand, elbow, shoulder syndrome, which you don't want. So your flexibility in the wrist is very key, and you just. So, can we play the first one, which is...
Andy, do you have the music cued or like that music?
So we're going to try to play some music, and you can, and again, please play along with your pizza box or whatever you have to do.
Okay, it's just being queued up, Blake.
All right.
Can I ask some questions, actually?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's Nicole here. I'm going to share some questions with Blake while everyone is getting ready to play. Blake, I'm wondering, how long have you been playing the Bodhran for?
Nicole and Katie.
14 years. Wow.
Yes, it looks a lot easier than it is to learn. Or I'm a slow learner. I'm not sure what to take from that.
And Blake, I have another question. When you first started playing, how did it feel? Did it feel easy, or did it feel hard? Or was it something that you thought, oh, this isn't for me? How did you feel when you first started playing the Bodhran?
Well, the first one I got was non-tunable. Non-tunable, so it's the skin. If it's a hot day, the skin is very tight, and if it's rainy, as we may have tomorrow, then the skin goes very loose. So you get a very different sound, and so I thought, well, it would be nice to be able to play in an Irish session, but the Bodhran is not like a drum and rock and roll where you set the beat and you just, that sets it for the rest of the players. The Bodhran is actually a recessive instrument that tags along, follows the tune, but not doesn't lead it. It kind of follows it closely. And then if, let's say, a couple of fiddle players in a session come to a transition to another tune, and they might go off in opposite directions. And the steady beat of the Bodhran, the heartbeat of Celtic music, is to kind of bring them all back. But it took a long time and a lot of practice, and actually being exposed to some very fabulous musicians to begin to hear the beat and begin to feel how the Bodhran can support the session rather than disrupt it.
Great. And actually, I have a question from the audience from Mr. John O'Flynn. He's asking, Blake, how does one respond kindly when family members are mocking your abilities on the Bodhran?
Well, it's the kindly part, I think, that might be the issue. You can't change your family, so I think it's a little bit, uilleann pipers have a similar problem. The noise is such that they, you can take a bit of it, but all that. But I think part of learning to play the Bodhran is that melding with the other instruments in a way that you're welcome. And when your family sees that, then they say, I may not be a fan of drummers, but it's interesting. It's actually adding something special that no other instrument can do.
Okay, I have another
one more question, Nicole, from Adrian. You're playing with your left hand. Can you play with either hand?
Left-handers aren't very good at being right-handers.
But can one play either way? It's like, yes, you can just switch over, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're left-handed, it's very difficult to find a left-handed Bodhran player to teach you, because I think only 12% of the population is left-handed. So I had that struggle in my own trying to learn the Bodhran, and because if you've got the bars, the crossbars, you've only got like a quarter of the skin that you can play, and that limits you. So I got one without the bar, and that gives me the whole. I can play the whole skin. And one of the things you can't see, but I'll turn so that you can, is that I'm also dampening the skin, which actually helps create new sounds and tones. So I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. So I'm putting pressure on the inside of the Bodhran, like so, while I'm playing the skin on the front, and that provides a lot more thing. And I'm sure if you're right-handed, you do it with your right hand and put the pressure on the skin with your left hand. I hope that's of some help.
Great. Actually, while we're waiting here, I have a quick question for you, Sam. Someone has come in with a question for you. They're wondering, how long does it take for you to write a song, and where do you get your songs from if you don't write your songs?
Well, actually, it varies in length how long it takes. Like, I'm not trying to write a song in one day. It's impossible. I take my time, I sleep on it, and sometimes I go for a walk and just have it in my head, trying to figure it out. And you really have to have the right beat. That's the whole thing with your drum. For the longest time, I couldn't get it in. It wasn't in unison with my song. So I had to try and try and try it. I eventually got it. Just out of the blue, it came to me, of what to do. I'm on the verge of writing a couple of more songs. I'm thinking of some good fast beats, and then maybe slow beat. Because sometimes we have deaths in our family, and we have to sing a slow beat song. And we haven't got that song yet. So I'm trying to figure this out. It may take a while, but I'll get around. It takes a while.
And we have the music queued up, and we're ready to go. Here we go.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.